good evening and welcome to the Italian Radio Hour. Io sono Viviana and I would like to welcome back our regular listeners and also welcome any new listeners. Also, be sure to like us on Instagram and Facebook at Italian Radio Hour and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch up on any past video interviews. Vorrei dare il benvenuto ai nostri ascoltatori da tutto il mondo, grazie per essere con noi anche oggi mentre continuiamo il nostro viaggio per l'Italia e la cultura italiana. So today we're going to the city of Volterra in Tuscany, which it's a city that contains some of the most important historical monuments in Italy, dating back over 3,000 years. And since 2016, efforts of digitally reconstructing and preserving the historically significant architecture, archaeological and artistic treasures of the ancient city and other significant sites in Italy have been led by Case Technologies in collaboration with the Volterra-Detroit Foundation and Autodesk. And today I'm very thrilled to welcome to the program Mark Dietrick, Director of Services at Case Technologies, who will illustrate for us how this collaboration has used and harnessed advanced tools, including laser scanning and drones to capture and safeguard the city's historical and archaeological treasures. So sit back and relax, don't go anywhere, ma prima pubblicità. Parli italiano? Do you want to learn, improve, or master your Italian? Istituto Mondo Italiano can help. Located in the heart of Regent Square, Mondo Italiano offers small group classes and one-on-one private tutoring in person or online to help you learn Italian in no time. Visit us online at istitutomondoitaliano.org. Mark, welcome to the program. It's so exciting to have you. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the program. Appreciate the opportunity.
So this is going to be an episode that is going to talk about history, archaeology, but also state-of-the-art technology, international people. But I forgot to mention, Mark, you are a Pittsburgher, aren't you?
I am a Pittsburgher, yeah.
So you're representing the Steel City in this beautiful mission. Tell us a little bit about your background and maybe how Pittsburgh might have played a role in your professional
direction. Absolutely. Yeah. So yes, I am from Pittsburgh, born and raised, and I'm an architect by background. So I'm a degreed architect. I went to school at University of Detroit Mercy School of Architecture and practiced architecture. Well, this is now for 40 years. I've been in the profession since I graduated from school. And came back to Pittsburgh and have worked pretty much my whole career here in Pittsburgh. And I caught the technology bug very early on. Early in my career, I was working with an architectural firm that was very progressive with the use of technology. And I was extremely interested in it from the very early days, going back to the very beginning in the mid-'80s when technology was really new in architectural practice. And as technology became more and more important in the profession, I continued to take more of a leadership role with technology in the firm I was with. And I pretty much from that point on just kind of focused my career on trying to understand how technology can enhance the practice of architecture and construction, really. And then more recently with the work we're doing in Volterra, how technology can be used to help digitally preserve really important architecturally significant sites. So that was kind of my career path. I've been now 15 years with Case Technology, so I kind of left traditional architectural practice and just to do technology consulting full time with Case Technologies, and we're based here in Carnegie, just outside of downtown. So.
Okay, excellent. So I would like to share just 9 seconds of something that is going to lead us into having a conversation about the historical significance of Volterra, because it might not everyone might be familiar with this beautiful, beautiful city, especially if you want to escape from, the overcrowded Florence and Siena and so forth, but you still want that historical hilltop town that everyone pictures in in the kind of the collective imaginary. So we'll talk a little bit about Volterra, and then we will dive into what your organization plus your partners are indeed doing to preserve their sites of interest. So here we are.
We are in a city that is 3,000 years old.
This is a very sacred site. We see things from the medieval era, things from the Etruscan era, things from the Roman era.
The risk of losing sites is heightened.
Okay, we're going to leave a little bit like a suspense, almost like a preview of a movie, but this is the image for those of you that might be following us on a podcast that we saw beautiful walls of the city. We saw some Etruscan statues, and then we see a landslide that obviously no one was predicted. So let's talk a little bit about Volterra. What is Volterra famous for? Because we have some sites, but we have also some landmarks and some arts and craftsmanship that is very important to the territory.
Yeah, absolutely. So very important city because it's been continually inhabited for over 3,000 years, as you mentioned, and it has layers of history going back to the Etruscan era and even pre-Etruscan era, most likely. And monuments from all of those eras. And one of the more important monuments in Volterra is the gateway to the city, Porta Arco, which is an Etruscan arched gate. And my understanding is one of only two left in Italy that completely intact. So very, very important monument there, and as the entry to the city. The Roman theater also. Oh, and by the way, Porta Arco, I should mention, is dated to 4th century BC, so extremely old structure. And then some of the other important monuments would be the Roman theater, which was excavated in the 50s. It dates back to the 1st century BC, and it's probably one of the better preserved Roman theaters ruins in all of Italy. So very, very important monument there. And then more recently, actually just I think it was 6 years ago, the city discovered a Roman amphitheater.
We'll get maybe you'll be able to show us something because those excavations brought to light something really amazing. And in addition to, again, these landmarks that you have mentioned, obviously, if we're looking at Volterra in the medieval period, in the Middle Ages, it was indeed a center for art, trade, religion. You have Palazzo dei Priori from 1208, which is probably Italy's oldest civic buildings and testament to that period. But when we talk also about the art and the trade, if I'm not mistaken, alabaster is a huge, and the craftsmanship, a huge tradition, which again will come back to play a role, I believe, in this in this project. So my Volterra was also the set for other let me see, the Twilight series. And specifically in the novel New Moon, and there are some medieval festivals. So for those that would like to experience a reenactment of even traditional crafts, Volterra is indeed the place to go that really offers a lot. So kind of starting from the very beginning. How did your organization, tell us about the project background, how the project started, and how Case Technologies became involved with it? And feel free to share at any point, any images, videos, anything that you would like to.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so yeah, it's a little bit of a long story, but I'll try to shorten it as best I can. So it's through my alma mater. So as I mentioned, I went to the School of Architecture at University of Detroit Mercy. We had a we've had a study abroad program in Italy going back over 30 years, but we never had a permanent home for that study abroad program. And about almost 15 years ago now, the city of Volterra, because we would tend to gravitate toward Volterra with our study abroad program, even though we didn't have a home there, just because of the architectural significance of the city for our architectural students. And at this point, 15 years ago, the city of Volterra offered a building, one of their buildings they were using for record keeping, which they were no longer going to use. They offered us this building to use to establish a residential college in Volterra. The University of Detroit Mercy actually turned that offer down. But a good friend of mine and colleague who I actually studied with going way back 40 years ago, Władek Fuchs, he's actually from Poland. We had another international exchange program with Warsaw, Poland. That's where I met him. He immigrated to the United States and became a professor at University of Detroit Mercy. And when this offer was turned down by Detroit Mercy, he said, "This is too good of an offer. We can't let it go. Let's form a nonprofit organization to establish the college, International College, and run it ourselves." And so he called me up and asked me to be a founding board member of the Volterra-Detroit Foundation, which I accepted. And so that's how we started it. And so we now have this beautiful facility in Volterra that can house up to 20 students. We've got work spaces there, studio space, which is fantastic. And so we do host traditional study abroad programs from Detroit Mercy, other universities. University of Utah uses our facility, and some others as well. But we were looking for opportunities to use our facility between semesters. And at that point, this is going back probably 8 years ago, my company, Case Technologies, was just starting to get involved with what we call reality computing technologies, this idea of being able to digitally preserve sites using laser scanners and drones, et cetera. And so we had this thought that wouldn't it be cool to test out these new technologies in a place like Volterra, where there's a real significant need for digitally preserving these significant sites so that they can be preserved forever in case of a landslide, like we just saw in the video. So that was the idea. And so since then, we have been doing workshops using our facility in Volterra. My company was 100% behind this idea. It gives us an opportunity to be able to explore these technologies and also to obviously present the work that we do and to promote the work that we do in a very, very interesting international way. So it's been very successful for Case Technologies. Case Technologies is an Autodesk partner. So we brought Autodesk on board, and Autodesk is the biggest producer of software for our industry. And they were very happy to participate in the project as well. We have other partners too, but those would be the main partners. And so, yeah, that's how the project started, and it's grown into an amazing project. We have people from all over the world that have heard about what we're doing, and they just want to participate. They want to come and help the effort. They want to learn from each other. It's a great environment when we're there of sharing expertise and knowledge, all in support of this important mission of preserving our heritage.
Yes.
Heritage.
So you mentioned some of the technologies being used, like photogrammetry, laser scanning, and drones. Can you elaborate or also explain in plain terms, or if you have examples, feel free to share. Otherwise, I can also let that video roll in the background with no sound. So tell us a little bit for people that are not in the field, what that means. What does it look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me go ahead and just share a couple examples for you.
Kind of
So
the before and the after, right?
yeah, so this
The
would
process.
be so this is a good example here. I'll show you. This is Saint Felice, a medieval gate and fountain, as you can see down here. So this you can see I'm on a website. We host our data on a website. And so every one of these spheres that you see would be, this is a laser scanning example. And so this is where the scanner would be set up. So a laser scanner basically just shoots millions of points per second. And as the laser hits surfaces, it records the geometry. It records the position of all of the elements that it interacts with, that it sees. So we have these really accurate measurements of all of the objects that the laser scanner can see. Okay, and so I can just simply go to another position, and you can now see inside the chapel. So we can navigate to all of these positions and see everything that the laser scanner recorded. So we're looking at photographs right now because it also takes photographs, the laser scanner.
Mhm.
Okay, but it's also underneath all of these photos is extremely accurate, billions of points of measurement. So we know every stone joint, every crack in every stone. We can accurately measure everything perfectly. Why this example is very interesting is that if I navigate through the gate and down to the street, this is the wall that you saw collapse in the opening video.
Mhm.
Okay. And so fortunately we had scanned it. And so we're actually able to send our data to the city of Volterra, who's working as we speak on reconstructing this wall. And they're able to use our data to really faithfully reconstruct it, every stone back in its place, in its original place. So it's a really interesting use case for the data that we have and how the laser scanning geometry works. So yeah, pretty interesting technology. And you can continue to just navigate and see, and it's just a really good way to communicate and share. Uh, Anybody can access this on our website. So you can virtually visit some of these sites in Volterra that we have scanned,
Mhm.
which is super cool. And this can also be viewed in virtual reality, which is kind of interesting as well.
So the question is, we see kind of the end product, but there is a ton of work behind it and people that made this possible. Can you please elaborate more on the actual process to get to these end results?
Yeah, so
Maybe if there's some
basically,
people that might have been also key players in making it happen, because again, this doesn't happen by itself.
yep. So again, this was accomplished during one of our workshops. Okay, so and it's a 2 week long workshop that we do every spring in Volterra, and so we would simply take the team out using a laser scanner, and we would teach them as we are scanning these sites, how do you perform a laser scan and collect all of the data. Okay. And then we would be doing that with our partners. In this case, the scanning was being done by Leica Geosystems, another one of our partners that we use their hardware to do most of our scanning. And so the participants in the workshop understand how to operate the scanning equipment. Once we collect the data on site, and each one of these scan positions takes maybe about 2 minutes to collect the data. So, and then we move the scanner around the site. So maybe for a site, there's probably about 50 scans for this particular site. Bigger sites like the Roman Theater was probably over 100 scans, 150 scans, something like that. So depending on how many scans you have, it can take hours or maybe days to collect the data. After we collect the data, then we would go back into our school and then process the data. So there's a process after we collect the data to bring it into software that basically takes and we call it registration. So it registers all of these individual scans together into one contiguous three-dimensional environment. Okay. So that's the basic process. And then sometimes for sites, so if we look at I'll come back to the Porta Arco in a second here, but if we look at the Roman Theater as an example, and let me do a bigger version of that. That's, so it's full screen. So the Roman Theater, which is just ruins of what it used to be, right? So you can see what it is today, but you can kind of imagine what this would have been like if it had the full stage backdrop and the full stage there and the full seating in place, and there was covering over the seating and things like that. So the other process we do is we're able to take this scan data, which again gives us really accurate understanding of the geometry, and then using other types of documentation, historical documentation, we can reconstruct it to what it looked like back when it was operational. And this is actually a 3D print, and hopefully you can see that okay. So you can kind of see this part of the stage there. And so we digitally reconstruct it to what it had looked like back when it was operational. And here's another section of that model that shows the seating and the arcade across the top, etc. So two pieces of it is first the digital preservation, and that's simply capturing what's there today, and then taking that data and then extending it. We call it the fourth dimension. We add time to it, taking it back in time and reconstructing it back to what it had looked like when it was in use.
So definitely I could also see the collected data being used beyond preservation in like education, tourism, cultural heritage, and many other applications that would enhance the experience of a person going and seeing the sites or schools. So
that's correct. Yeah, and we actually have a grant through Epic Games. They give away what they call mega grants to explore using their technologies, in this case the gaming technology, but to use it in very interesting ways. And they saw the work we were doing and encouraged us to apply for a grant to then do like an educational game, if you will. And so we are doing that as we speak. We're building an educational game with this data for the Roman Theater, and it's like a time travel. So you can experience it as it is today, and then travel back to see the reconstruction that I just showed you, and learn about why the building was constructed the way that it was constructed. So you bring up a really good point about the educational aspect and the research aspect. So one of the biggest things that we do is we use our data to do research. And Vladek Fuchs, who's the president of the foundation, who I mentioned before, has been researching Roman architectural design principles for many, many years. And he's made some incredible discoveries that challenge a lot of long-held beliefs that were documented by Vitruvius, who was the author that most architects know and studied in school, and was meant to be the expert on Roman architectural design principles, geometrical design principles. A lot of what Vitruvius wrote about was not full. The geometries that existed in like the Volterra Theater were not completely explained by Vitruvius's writings. And so that bothered Vladek for many, many years, and he couldn't quite understand what it was. And he felt that it had to have a strong geometrical background because everything the Romans did was always based on very strict geometrical principles. Using our data, he actually uncovered what it was. It was an additional geometrical design principle that was kind of overlaid on the Vitruvian principles. In the case of Volterra, I believe it was a nine-sided polygon, which was very strange geometrical shape. But he was able to discover that geometry using our scan data. And then he studied several other theaters, Roman theaters throughout Italy and Spain and other locations, and tested that theory and found that, yes, there are these other principles out there that were more flexible and unique. And he got a book deal. He's writing a book as we speak.
This is pretty revolutionary. Yeah.
Very revolutionary. Yeah, which is super cool. And so that's a big part of what we do. And yeah, his work, we actually highlighted it at an exhibit that Autodesk hosted in at their annual conference. So they did it's called Autodesk University. It was in October of last year, and they did this huge exhibit of all of our work. And you can kind of see some photos here of our exhibit. We had these nice 3D prints of a lot of our models. But here you can see there was a section that was specific to his research work. This is Vladek here. And he calls it the Universal Roman Design Methodology. So that's, an image that kind of talks about that process and his research work that is really groundbreaking. So yeah, so that's that's kind of some of the use cases of what we do. I showed you a laser scanning example, and then this is also I wanted to also show you a couple photogrammetry examples. So this would be a drone-based photogrammetry model of the Porta Arco.
And you actually read my mind because I had a question. I think your team was able to kind of reconstruct the fact that there were, I think, more faces than what you can actually see nowadays. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, if you watch the video, yeah, you can see, unfortunately, I don't have an image of it, but the Etruscan gate had 3 heads, and they're all worn away, obviously, after so many years. And nobody knows for certain what those heads were. I think the most commonly held belief is that it was, I believe, Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva, god heads there. And those are depicted in the Etruscan Museum in a sculpture. And so what we were able to do in our last workshop last spring was we were able to do some photogrammetry of those heads in the museum. And then using what we call augmented reality technology, we were able to then, through a head-mounted display, you could go to the site, stand at the gate, and then digitally superimpose the heads over the arch. So we call that augmented reality. And so we did that experiment last workshop, which was super cool. And if you watch the whole video that
Absolutely. Yes, I couldn't stop. So let's hear from our sponsors, and then we'll come back. We'll talk more about these workshops because I believe there is one coming up at in March. So just don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Applying for Italian citizenship? Need documents translation? Istituto Mondo Italiano provides certified translations and assistance services. Be sure to visit us at istitutomondoitaliano.org and schedule your free consultation. Un caffè, per favore. My first cup of coffee sets the tone for my entire day, and I get my coffee at La Prima Espresso. La Prima has been brewing Pittsburgh Express coffee for over 35 years. Try any of their in-house roasted varieties of beans from all over the world at home, or come and enjoy an espresso or a cappuccino at any of their locations, with their friendly baristas and familiar faces who will make you feel at home. Visit laprima.com to get La Prima Espresso coffee at your door. Wanted to talk about now is indeed the opportunity that scholars, I would assume, or tell us about also the background of the people that have participated in this. Is it a 2-week workshop, right? That is held annually. So you have one coming up at the end of March. Tell us about previous sessions, and in addition to the nitty-gritty of the workshops, you create a full experience around it for people to get close to the culture and other elements. So tell us all about it.
Yeah, we do. Thank you. Yeah, the workshops are a tremendous experience. We offer 2 full weeks in Volterra. We have our own facility, which is great. So, people can stay right in the building that we work in. Some people choose to stay elsewhere, but certainly welcome to stay within our facility. It's a great opportunity to have this wonderful team experience. We have people come from all over the world. I can't even count all of the countries we've had people coming from. They just hear about the work we're doing, as I mentioned earlier, and they want to be part of it. And I think that a lot of people are very passionate about this mission of digitally preserving cultural heritage. And so, we have to do very little advertising now because people find us and they want to participate. And we end up with a variety of different types of people. We have people that are historians, just very interested in the history. We have people that are technologists. They're just interested in understanding more about the technology. We have archaeologists that have come with us that are that's their background. We have this year, actually, we have somebody that's works in a museum in Washington, D.C., and they want to learn more about the museums in Volterra and kind of collaborate with them. So we have a variety of different types of people that come. We have a variety of skill ranges. Some people are just novices in using the technology and they want to learn a little bit about it. But then we have other people that are experts and they want to come and share their expertise. So it just ends up being a wonderful combination of people that are super supportive of each other. In fact, we're starting on Friday. We start our first teleconferences leading up to the workshop. So we meet like every other week to kind of bring the team together and talk about what we're going to do while we're there. We'll talk about the different sites that people are interested in working on, and we'll collaboratively come up with a plan for the full 2 weeks. But we offer, full immersion into the city, as you mentioned. We have the Volterra-Detroit Foundation. We have our program director, Julia Monday, who is from Volterra. And so she hosts us, and she has connections with pretty much everybody in the city. She's lived there for many, many years. She's actually also a tour guide, so she gives us an incredible tour of the city. She knows everything about the history of the city. So we get this deep immersion into the city itself. We have relationship with the mayor's office and the superintendenza of archaeology of all of Tuscany, Elena Sorja. We just have all these wonderful relationships, and we're welcomed by the city. They appreciate what we're doing for them. And so we have a wonderful experience while we're there. We have team dinners together. We always do at least one day trip where we'll journey out to a farm. This year we're going to a local farm that's very short distance away from Volterra. And they also have they specialize in art as well, and they've got several sculptures on their site. So we'll do some capture while we were there, and have a wonderful lunch out on the farm. So we do things like that. We'll have a wine tasting at the local winery called Marcampo, who again we have a wonderful relationship with there too. So we'll go there, do a wine tasting, and so it's more than about the digital preservation. It is really about having this deep immersion into the culture and the history of the city, and meeting a lot of wonderful people that we've established these great relationships with over the years.
So I wanted to bring back, when I mentioned before, some of the things that Volterra is famous for is alabaster, because I believe you have a tight relationship, or maybe a workshop is now being incorporated in this a physical. So tell us about, I think there is a key maestro that that some of the participants have dealt with. And so tell us a little bit about how important now the alabaster is.
Yeah, so really alabaster craft is so important in Volterra, and there's a little write up here about I think it's on this page. Yeah, so this is a alabaster studio that we used for all of our every study abroad program that comes and uses our facility in Volterra. They take an alabaster sculpture class. And alabaster sculpture has gone back to the Etruscan era in Volterra. It's extremely famous for the alabaster craft. And so you can see here, Velio Grandoli was the master craftsman that had this studio, and he just retired.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not unique, by the way. A lot of the craftsmen are getting to the retirement age, and there's a significant concern about what's going to happen to the alabaster craft in Volterra. So we were very fortunate that the Volterra-Detroit Foundation, we were able to acquire his studio, which he was selling. And so now we're just now in the process of taking an ownership of his studio with all the equipment. So he sold it with all the equipment in it. And so we're going to now be able to continue to use his studio to teach our students when they go about the alabaster craft, so they can do their own alabaster work. And you can see some of the students here working in his studio.
I was very jealous looking at those pictures. I wish I were them.
Yeah, it's a
It's an
wonderful.
amazing experience. I mean, one of a kind, that this exposure that these let's call them kids, these students are
Exactly.
getting to these ancient crafts and materials that might not be around the corner where they come from.
Yeah, it's such a blessing that we have been able to now we'll be able to continue to offer this to our students. And we haven't quite figured out yet who's going to teach the classes, but there are some younger craftspeople that are coming into the city, and so hopefully, we'll be able to, continue and to support it. And we just thought, as a foundation, and that it's so ingrained within the city now, the Volterra-Detroit Foundation, that it was really important for us to step up and acquire this studio to make sure that it continues in some way, because it's such an important part of the culture and heritage of Volterra.
Yeah. So you have mentioned before that the community has indeed welcomed you. So how has the local community been involved in the project?
Yeah, so well, obviously, when we're out scanning, there are.
I'm probably curious what's going on here.
Yeah, exactly. And there may be some, like if we're outside, it's not an issue, but if we have to go inside spaces, we need their support, depending on where we're scanning. Like if it's a church, we need the support of the priests, which we get. And we've actually scanned a couple of villas in the city, so that just we needed the support of the people who now own and live in those villas, and they've been very welcoming for us to come in and do that. And then we always, at the end of our workshop, we always have an open house where we present all of our work, and it's open to the entire city. And so it's a wonderful event. We have a reception. Of course, we have a little bit of wine, and we celebrate the completion of the workshop. And the participants in the workshop are just always so excited to show their work to the city, to the people of the city who come to see the work. And we almost always have the mayor come by and thank us for our work, and other officials from the city that come by. And it's a wonderful experience to, kind of bring us all together and celebrate the work that we're doing there.
So one question maybe I should have asked you at the very beginning: what drew you personally to this project, and what has been maybe some of the challenges or some of the most rewarding parts of the experience?
Yeah, so what drew me was that opportunity, as I mentioned, uh, to to take over the school, to take over that building and establish a residential college there through the foundation with my good friend Vladek. So just that opportunity for us to be able to work together on this project, with a dear friend that I studied with 40 years ago, is just a very rewarding experience for me. And to be able to offer this experience to people. Almost everybody that comes there tells us that it's been life-changing in some way. And to hear that is so rewarding for me, to be able to offer this experience that is life-changing. And yeah, so I think that to me, that has been the biggest reward. Obviously, there are other things like, yeah, we've made really great strides in using technology, and that's important to me in my company, right? That's, I don't want to underestimate the value of that, but it's that personal experience that really touches me, and to have the opportunity to offer that to the people that come with us. And by the way, we have so many people that come again. Like they come once and they're like, "Oh, I'm coming back."
Coming back. Almost an alumni reunion.
2, 3 times. It's just one of the places that you go and you're immediately enthralled and enchanted by this amazing place, and you want to go back. It's just one of those things.
Well,
Challenges, there's always a challenge with communication, and as you know, Viviana, I've spoke to you about this. I need to make a better effort into learning Italian, so I can communicate more freely when I'm there, which I intend to do.
You're always welcome. We were just next door to you almost.
Exactly. Yeah, I have this great resource.
We'll come to you. We'll do the whole thing in Volterra for the whole crew.
Better idea yet. Yeah, that would be fantastic. So there's that, and then there's also just the fact that things they happen differently in Italy. There's a different time frame on things. Getting approvals is not quite as straightforward.
There's a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy involved.
Yeah, right, exactly. And sometimes it's not 100% official until you're there having coffee with them, the people that you need the go-ahead from. And I that took a while to get used to that, but I kind of appreciate that now, that there's still this, I think, desire to do things more face to face and in a much more slow
relationship based as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So is there any timeline that you could put to, I don't want to say the end of this project, and would you envision then moving on to a similar historical site?
Yeah, so that's good. I think this project will continue for as long as we really want to continue it. There's never going to be a shortage of things for us to document in the city. So, I see us being able to do this for as long as we really want to, and hopefully someone will take over once I can't do it anymore, or our team can't do it anymore. But But yes, we do have plans to do other important sites. In fact, we're thinking about going a little bit early this year and heading down to Barabella to capture some of the truly structures.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah.
UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Mhm.
So we're still trying to work through that to see if we can do that this year. Um,
And also Cisternino, also some surrounding areas might have also great examples that have not been hit by the touristic wave. So you might see some more examples that might be older and more, I don't want to say in pristine conditions, but more truthful to what they used to be before people started to turn
Yeah,
this
so
in
exactly. In fact,
accommodations.
I've heard that, a lot of the truly structures have been renovated into Airbnbs and things like that. That's really not what we're interested in, the ones that are
You,
still out in the field that
and
are.
you will see, yeah, you will see them just cruise around outside, and you will see quite a few examples. So that would be very fascinating indeed. And
Yeah, so we're thinking about that, but we really want to continue and do as many important sites as we can. The owner of Case Technologies, Tufa Soon, he is extremely passionate about this. And so we're trying to look for as many opportunities as we can to extend our work. And we have some things in the pipeline right now that unfortunately I can't talk about yet, but
you'll have to come back and give
really
us
important
an update.
sites. And some are in the US, by the way, as well.
Mhm.
So which is cool. But we're just we're extremely passionate about this process, and so we'll continue to explore as many sites as we can practically work on.
Okay. So, any last message or topic that we haven't covered that you want to cover, or an invite on how people can get a hold of you or look into participate into one of these spring workshops?
Yeah, so you can always visit our page, Volterra-Detroit Foundation. This is our research page where you can actually view our models. So research.volterra-detroit.org. The workshop itself for signing up, etc., that would be just volterra-detroit.org. Those would be the websites there. And then Case Technologies is casetech.com, casetech.com. So, yeah, you can follow our work on any of those channels, which we would appreciate. One other thing I will mention, I mentioned the fact that we were featured in the Autodesk University
Mhm.
here with that exhibit. I will mention that when we were in San Diego doing this exhibit, we had Emanuele Amendola. He
Mhm.
is the director of the Italian Cultural Institute of Los Angeles. He came down to San Diego, since it's so close, to see our exhibit, and he absolutely loved what he saw. And so he is in the process, we actually are in the process of recreating that exhibit in his gallery space in Los Angeles.
Oh, fantastic.
And so that will be launching in mid March and through sometime in April. And so we're really excited about that. And Elena Sorge, who I mentioned before, the
Mhm.
Superintendenza of Archaeology of Tuscany, will actually be coming to Los Angeles. And she's bringing some Etruscan and Roman antiquities with her.
Oh,
Or,
fantastic.
well,
So
so-
make sure to update me on the date so that we can, for those that might be in the area or those that might be willing to travel for these one of a kind opportunity, that would be pretty amazing.
Yes, so there'll be some really amazing antiquities from the Etruscan Museum on display in Los Angeles, along with our work, which will be super cool. And then we'll also be screening the film that you showed at the beginning. There's a longer version of that film being produced as we speak, and that will be screened at that exhibit as well. So yeah, so anybody in the Los Angeles area interested in this, definitely would love to have you attend.
Well, that is amazing. So I hope that people are going to take up on this opportunity to have one of a kind experience. Again, start getting curious and peruse as I did onto the Volterra-Detroit Foundation website. There is a ton of material that will kind of suck you in, and you just have to see one video after another, read one article after the other. Again, also congrats in 2017 for your from the American Institute of Architects National People's Choice Innovation Award that you have received for your work in Volterra. So unfortunately, our time together is up. Il Big Ben ha detto stop. It is time for us to say arrivederci e alla prossima. We want to thank you for tuning into the program. And if you have any questions or comments, or if you have any topics you would like us to address, please contact us at theitalianradiohour@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And remember, if you or any of your family and friends have missed a prior episode or would like to listen to this episode again, subscribe to the Italian Radio Hour on YouTube or where you catch your favorite podcasts. I would like to thank my guest, Mark and Dietrick. Thank you so much for all the information you have shared with us. Our sponsors, Istituto Mondo Italiano and La Prima Espresso. Until next time, alla prossima. Ciao, ciao.